Hey guys, welcome to RelatableLOA. Today we're going to talk about why it shouldn't take longer than 2 weeks to see some results when you're manifesting. Often it takes a lot less time than that. I've done a video about this before. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into it today, and we're going to talk about why you are the only thing that's stopping your manifestation. Like, you decide the time, how long it takes to come to you. So let's figure out why some of these things aren't coming to you, and we're going to talk about why certain things take a little bit longer than other things, and just why that is and how we can stop it. So we're gonna get right into the video. All right, so nothing is harder than anything else to manifest. Okay, so it may seem like manifesting $1 million is harder to manifest than manifesting a penny on the ground. That isn't true. It's true in our minds, and here's why it isn't true. I believe in parallel realities, and I believe that there is a reality where every single possibility exists. So there is a reality where you find a penny on the ground, and there's another reality where you find $1 million on the ground in a bag, whatever, it doesn't matter what circumstances are. They're just as likely to happen. It's you in your mind driving it like a steering wheel with your mind. Like, it's your mind is like the driver of where you're going. Just like your future is what you decide it is, your past is also what you decide it is. So if you have like a past that you think is stopping a future circumstance, that's not true. No parallel reality is harder to get to than another one. It's just about you and your mind and what you're gonna limit yourself with. I just put out a video a few days ago about changing and revision and fixing things like that. I have videos about revision if you wanna look into those. I'll link some below. You can change the past just like you can change the future, and changing the past helps the future. So you assign value in your mind, you assign meaning in your mind as to what things are, what they mean, how hard they are to get, how easy they are to get. So if you think that something's hard to get, start affirming that it's easy to get, or start affirming $1 million is just as easy to get as a penny. Like, you could affirm those things and start creating that story in your mind to override the story that more money is hard to get than less money. You can do that. Okay, now let's talk about why it shouldn't take more than 2 weeks to see some results. The reason it shouldn't take more than 2 weeks to see results is because that's about as long as it takes to really to get rid of that resistance for the most part. I've never seen it take longer when you really dedicate yourself to manifesting something. I've never seen it take longer than 2 weeks to see some kind of movement. And most of the time it takes way less than that. It's just I feel like that's the amount of time it usually takes to override an old story that's very, very, that you had a lot of resistance to, because you have more resistance to certain topics than you do to other topics, right? So you just have to or you've been telling a story and there's so much resistance built up because you've been telling a story for so long and you have so much proof of that. So the more you tell a certain story, the more you see proof of that story. So if you've been telling a story for decades or for whatever, how long, there's a lot of resistance to changing that story. So that's why it will take longer to manifest something that you have a lot of resistance to, as opposed to something that you don't have a lot of resistance to. Like, obviously manifesting a free cup of coffee is easier than manifesting owning the coffee shop. I don't know, whatever. It's all in your mind how difficult a certain thing is. And you can change that, again, with your mind, because it was created with your mind to begin with. So I know that there are things that we are trying to manifest that we're just like, okay, well, that took a day. Why is this taking weeks or whatever? So you have to really dedicate yourself to the process. You can't half it, because you're going to get half results. If you are manifesting something and you're just seeing no movement, it is because there are more thoughts against it than there are for it. And if you already have a story for it that you've been telling for a long time, just halving it and doing every once in a while, putting an affirmation, is not going to override that story. So you have to put more positive thoughts about that thing that you want with that new story than you are putting on negative things. And the more thoughts you have against it that are coming out, the more positive thoughts you have to have coming out to override those thoughts. So if things are taking longer, it's because you just have more resistance to that topic. And you know what? You could even override that whole idea and say that I have zero resistance to this topic. I am completely like in align with this thing. Not that you have to be like actually in alignment with a certain thing. It's just an easier way to grasp what I'm saying. You can manifest anything. You can literally manifest anything. You can say, I am thinking the exact thoughts that I need to be thinking to get this result. Like, you can hack the law of assumption. You can, because like I just said, it shouldn't take more than 2 weeks to see any kind of movement. You can hack that. You can even say, no, I see results immediately every single time. And you affirm that more than you think things take time, and you get your results. There's so many different things you could do, and like I said earlier, it can be overwhelming, but don't let it get overwhelming. Just have a goal, figure out your most common resistant thoughts to it. Not because you need to think the opposite to get rid of them, but because you need to be aware of them, so that when you hear those kind of things come up, because sometimes like you're just thinking so much during the day, you don't even realize when they come up, but it's important to like sit down and be aware of what your most reoccurring negative thoughts are on a subject, just so you're like aware when they come up again. You can be like, oh, there that is, and then you can do your work of affirming and affirming and affirming. So whenever that does happen, by the way, if you notice a negative thought come up, you're like, oh, that's one of those thoughts that's stopping my desire, you just affirm what you do want 5 times for every time you have one of those negative thoughts. I say that a lot in my videos, but yeah, that's very true. The whole thing about manifesting is that you have to override the old stories. You just have to have more of the positive story than the story that you don't like. Yeah, so I hope that you guys got something out of this video. If you are interested in coaching, all the information for that is down below, very affordable. I think it's really cool the way I'm doing it, because it's the way I wish I could have gotten help when I first started. I see all these packages that other people have, and I'm not trying to dog on them, but I feel like they're very limited, and it's like, I would have liked to talk to somebody for like a few weeks and not had to keep paying different prices, and just pay one price for that time that's reasonable. And so that's what I'm offering, because I feel like that's what people deserve. If they want to have a coach, they shouldn't have to pay by the hour. They shouldn't have to pay for a certain amount of emails. You pay for a certain amount for like 2 weeks, and you get that whole time talk to the person, and it's not limited. Like, you talk about whatever you want. That's why I set it up the way that I did. I feel like that's a very fair way, and it's actually going to be beneficial for people. So yeah, if you want to sign up for that, that's down below. I'm also, for anybody who doesn't really want to sign up for the full coaching, I am doing affirmation packages for just $10 until the end of July. And all you have to do is you just send the $10, and then I am going to ask you some questions so I can kind of get an idea of what you're trying to get, and then I'm going to send you affirmations. So you can sign up for that. All that information is down below and on my community tab. So I hope everybody has a good weekend. I'm so excited it's the weekend. Boom! Yeah, I know, it was so crazy. Like, who would think that that would have been me? Right? So if you watched my last video, I thought this would be funny, because I talked about getting a message from a famous person, and I had you guys guess who you thought it might be, and this is the person. If you don't know who that is, look in the comments, because everybody who knows what it is, I dare you to put that name in the comments of who it is. I have this mask not because I'm a crazy fan. I am a fan. I think he's a cool actor, but somebody in my family knows I'm a fan, and got this for me. So now, because I'm not the kind of person who has this stuff, I keep this as a joke and just kind of mess with people sometimes. But yeah, I'm not the kind of person who really likes having people's faces on like shirts or posters or stuff like that, because I feel like it's kind of weird. Like, I'd rather have like a cool design for a band or something. My sister got that as a joke, and when I got it, it was on my birthday like a few years ago, and everybody was wearing the mask. It was funny. And this was before COVID, so like, mask before COVID. Anyways, everybody have a great weekend. I know that I ended that a little bit abruptly, and that's because I wanted to do this little joke, but that's it. If you know who that person is, if you know who this is, you put the name down below. I dare you. I don't feel like a lot of people know who that is, because I feel like the biggest role he's been in is a role where he's not really showing his face. Like, he's got a mask up, he's got a makeup and stuff on. So Yeah. Okay, that's it. Everybody have a great weekend. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, please subscribe. Please hit the like button. I've heard that that's great for the YouTube algorithm. So, did I say algorithm? Ugh. I can pronounce things. All right, cool. Thanks. Bye.